Yo, hello, yo, creative world, creative people, and if there's any CandlerCreative community members out there who are tuning into tonight's live, hello to all of you. Oh, and if anyone's listening on the podcast platforms, hello to all the listeners. This is CandlerCreative Chats. I'm Dan Candler, and these creative chats are about the creative world and the creative individuals who live within that world. Over the coming months, years, however long this kind of podcast goes on for, we're going to be interviewing loads of awesome different types of creatives, as well as having different types of specials as well. But let's crack on. Let's get started, and let's introduce our podcast flames of the community. Yo. So let's introduce our first. Well, before we do that, so usually we have a podcast flame, one of our podcast flames, Kelvin Hewlett, who usually joins us. But unfortunately, he's not joining us today because he's doing an awesome dance competition. So good luck to you, Kelvin. But let's move on to our next podcast flame. Oh, it's this way. I do this every single time. This is Chris Barton. Say hello to Chris. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, we're good. Very good day today. Very good day.
Cool.
Indeed.
What were you up to today? Anything creative or like how?
Mainly I was thinking the gym. Today I had today actually the biggest, like I'm friends with the biggest dude in the gym, and we have like a sort of relationship.
That's always
where it's just like
a prison. Is that a prison?
Yeah. You know, like where we look at each other from across the room and we're just sort of like, that sort of.
I need to get to know you.
But today he like came up to me, like stopped his like lifts, came up to me, and he was just like, "You're putting on some good muscle, man, bro." I was over the moon. Today I'm in cloud nine. All the rest of it.
Wait, so was he the literal biggest? You said biggest.
Yeah, man. This guy is like, is Tony. If he's listening to this, shout out to you, man. Like this guy is like he's there. Every muscle is so defined.
Wow.
Like it's that. Yeah. Anyway, that was
fantastic.
That was very random.
Well, let's speak about another muscular defined ninja of a man.
Ninja.
Let's go on to the man of the hour, the person who this episode is all about, Baltazar Oliva. How you doing, bro?
Very good.
Fantastic.
Usually it comes up with some complaint after that, but lately I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna complain anymore. I complained enough in my life. Let's leave the drama for when people pay me for it.
Yeah, too right.
It's brilliant, man.
Therapist. Yeah.
So Baz, this episode is all about you, and going off of the title of the episode, Baltazar Oliva. Who are you?
I still don't know. I think we are born lost and we die a little bit less lost. But
fantastic, going philosophical straight in there. I love that.
And that's it. See you guys.
And that's a wrap.
I think it's everything starts when we start doing what we actually love to do. And that's where we are here for. To give you a more boring, less philosophical answer, and then go back to who I actually am physically in this life. I was born in Argentina in 1985. I came to London. Actually, I have a story from today that is very funny that this happened today. I was working and standing for an event. I think it was Alicia Keys playing tonight. Massive event. So I came out and I was taking the tube to get back home, and I ended up in the West Kensington station, and that was the first place I landed, the first place I lived in London when I came here in 2010. So it was a massive teleportation back to the past. I was like, oh wow, so many memories.
That's crazy that it was today of all days as well.
Exactly, man. So long ago. So literally, that was December 2010 when I landed in London the first time. So connecting my life before I start the London chapter, a big, getting a small introduction to the who I was back then in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm just gonna talk about the stuff that connects with my creative career. Let's just leave everything else out the chat for now. Next on, so the first time that I actually worked as a supporting artist / extra, I opened up a box of like Pandora's box of memories, because when I started doing that and then I started touching into the acting world, I was like, oh my god, this is something that was there before and I didn't realize, I didn't remember. So when I was in primary school, I went to school that what was the name? I think it's called a Waldorf school or a Steiner. It's originally, I think it's from Germany, but it's this kind of more artistic kind of school, and we had arts that we did like collage and like stuff like we sculpture and like a lot of stuff with your hands, painting.
It's
and
like a cool school.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we also had music, we had a choir, we had a band, we had like a parade band, and we had theater, and we did plays that I don't remember any play, funny enough, but I do remember that there was a theater and we had half an hour breaks sometimes in the morning between certain classes, and then the first kid that arrives to the theater could use it. So we ran to get first, and then we just do improv for the full half an hour of the.
What the one kid, like the one kid
No,
can use
it
that
was
space, or
the first kids to arrive.
Solo theater.
Yes, solo. Hey, thank you, motherfuckers.
I'm gonna have to improv by myself, you know. Like,
yeah.
I'm just imagining Baltazar on the stage, just like, what?
Just
No.
by
Why would
himself.
you do that?
just
all my imaginary friends, and then the psychologist of the school came and said, like, okay, come with me.
yeah, that's enough for you.
No, so yeah, it was a group of us from my grade, and we just came out with like very silly comedy stuff, and like we just do whatever we want, and that was my first contact with all of this performance stuff. I was also very obsessed with Michael Jackson when I was a kid, and I remember I got on top of the table and I got this like a plastic tool toy, and it was like a screwdriver or something. And I just turned it around and I used the handle, and I was like, that's my microphone. And then I also was obsessed with Bon Jovi as well from very early on. And then at 8 years old, that moment defined my life. My dad gave me a cassette, Led Zeppelin 4. That marked me forever. And then at the age of 13 or 14, I wrote my first song. And the same year, I started performing with a band, singing and playing guitar. And music became one of the main things in my life ever. But I've never been able to actually make a lot of money from it. So when I decided to travel to Europe, and then I landed first in Madrid, I had a job as a lifeguard because a friend, I had a band with a friend, So I'm mixing up all the timelines. I had a band with a friend for 2 years, 2006 to 2008, and he got a job in Spain, and he left, and the band dissolved. And for those 2 years before I traveled, my friend was like, "Come to Europe, come to Europe, come," and he gave me an opportunity to get a job as a lifeguard in Spain, and that's why I'm here. So I did the summer season, and then I was like, okay, this is my opportunity. And I had a friend that was trying out some jobs in London, and she said, like, come to London and play your music. This is your chance. Come and try it. And I was like, okay. And that's when I end up in West Kensington, right before Christmas.
Was that sorry to cut you off, was that kind of always on the cards, coming to London, or was that just a fluttering kind of like thought
It
that
was
could be a possibility?
it was an idea. I don't I don't think it was a very developed idea. I think I think I was when I was younger, I was kind of like not having many plans. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. But in a way, it was there because when I left home, I remember it was a very exciting last 6 months. Because when I decided I was gonna travel, I got a ticket only way to get there, nothing to return. So it was a one-way ticket, and that structured the next 6 months to the day of the flight. So what happened was I didn't finish high school, and I went and I did all the exams and I finished it. I wanted to do these tattoos forever and I never did it. I had nothing in my back, and I did the tattoos with my friend. Then I also had a problem with my nose that I couldn't breathe properly when I was sleeping, and I operated it to fix it. So all of this stuff that you leave for later on, when I had the ticket, it was like, there's no way back. I need to do it now. So I sorted out everything. And the most important thing was I had all these songs that I recorded, that I written, that I haven't recorded it. So I had kind of like a low budget studio that I set up in my house. And I recorded this demo with like 8 of my most popular songs. And that kind of like jump started the whole idea of starting playing live acoustics and stuff like that, because I didn't have a band anymore. And when I came to Spain, I knew that somehow I would be. I came with my guitar, and I end up somehow playing music. But at the first period of time, I was too busy working and getting used to the life in another country, in another continent, and a lot of party as well. Um, so
How long were you in Spain for?
I was in Spain for, I think it was like 5 or 6 months maximum. And then I came to London and I spent almost a year, which it was split half in between London and Brighton, because I ended up in Brighton and I was playing a lot of gigs. I was kind of in Brighton for like 4 or 5 months playing gigs, just playing gigs.
It's got quite a good scene down there. I think.
Yeah. People. It was really nice. It was very well received, and I remember like just being at home and people call me from pubs saying like, "Are you free tonight? Come and play." Blah blah blah. And the first time ever that I got a groupie, I remember a girl just found me online and said like, "I saw you yesterday. You play at this play." Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Oh my God, it's working."
My guy.
So
It's worked.
yeah. But funny enough, it didn't work. So I ran out of money, and then I got offered a job in. I used to work in IT. I did all of the stuff. I was assembling computers and a programmer and network administrator. I did all of the different aspects of IT. So I got offered a job in IBM, and I went back to Spain for 4 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So on those 4 years, I decided, oh, I don't want to do this shit anymore. It's good money, but I just like, I was chasing money and I was doing what my parents told me to do, and I was not happy.
So you were doing all the IT stuff over in Spain. You went back to Spain.
Yeah, I
You did
went
the
back to
IT
Spain.
stuff.
I got a house, and I
Did
got
the
a
a thought
house?
that just came.
Oh, well, like I like rented a house. Yeah. I
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I was thinking, dang, you were making
I
some
was
money,
gonna
man.
Money? No. Where was it?
I was just thought that came into my head because you were saying about all the IT stuff, and then you went on the side of like music. Is there a correlation between the kind of IT kind of techie stuff and the music side of things? You know what I mean? Was it
If that part
were
is
you
happening.
experimenting with all that kind of technical side of that stuff, which made you want to kind of
No,
go into?
I was always there's two different parallel roads to that question, to that answer to that question. I've always been a nerd. I
Cool.
used to play Dungeons and Dragons when I was a teenager, and I would also love to play nowadays, but I don't have much time or a group to play with. And I was big on video games since forever. And when my dad gave me my first computer, I remember the first time the computer came, and I woke up at 6 a.m. to play 2 hours on a video game that I already purchased 2 weeks before the computer arrived.
And what was the game?
Worms 2. It was amazing.
What was it? Worms 2. Yeah.
So
oh, sick! Shout out Worms.
Yeah,
Dope.
and I was obsessed so much that I spent so much time on the computer, and I learned a lot of the English that I know nowadays because of the computers, and everything I had on the computer was software that was in English.
Because of Worms.
I was gonna say because you learned English because of Worms. So you just your first couple of months in the UK was you were just speaking like this. It's me. Yeah. Me. No.
So in a way, the IT stuff came because of my obsession with video games, but then also that opened a big door to the whole music stuff. I remember the first time I had Napster and I was downloading music from friends on Napster. That was before everything like all the streaming services that we have nowadays. So the point is that IT came from because I had a kind of like a natural ability to like dissect stuff and understand. I always needed to understand how it works, so I just like destroy it and see how it is, and then just put it back together. So like I started just to open my computer. I remember my dad gave me this like plastic rifle when I was a kid, and the first thing I did was like open it up and take apart the entire thing into a million different pieces. And then he said like, you just broke it up. I just like, he got angry with me, and then 1 hour later he came back and I just put it back together and it was working. So he was like, oh my god. So I've always had that engineer curiosity, I guess. But
yeah, and I think that is such a common trait with throughout the creative industries. A lot of creative people, I think, earlier on come to the conclusion very early on, like that they're trying to figure out what's going on. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's not just because of the curiosity, but like the need of doing it yourself. Because
yeah.
Like, oh, I want to do it. Oh no, but like I need to pay this guy. I need to see this. So can I just learn to do it so I don't depend on anyone else? And this is exactly what connects the next part of what's going to happen. So I'm on working for IBM, and I'm like deciding like when I fly to Spain from Brighton, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else. I want to have like a career. And I was thinking to go back to Argentina to study some robotics or like something very specific on like a more advanced kind of path from the IT. But I was not convinced. And then I don't know how it was that I ended up Googling stuff, and I found a university, a private university called SAE, School of Audio Engineering, and I found that there was a career on audio engineer. Audio production was, and I just like that. Just like it was an instant yes. It was like that's it. This is the fucking thing. And I went and I had an introduction on the campus, and I was like, yes, okay. What do I pay? Where? Give me the paper. I sign right now. Boom. And for the next 4 years, I finished my degree in audio production, which actually was 2 years in Madrid. Then I ran out of money, and I needed to do a part-time job. So I needed to study part-time to be able to work full-time at IBM to pay it. And then I quit the job to do another year full-time, and then I ran out of money. And I was like, oh fuck, what do I do? And I remembered when I was in Brighton, I met this guy that he told me he got this student loan. And I was like, wait a minute. So I go back to UK then, and I finish my degree with a loan. And that's what I did. I got a job to pay for the trip and everything. I saved up money for 6 months, and then I went back to London. Funny enough, it was all kind of like perfect because I started talking with this girl that I met in London back then, and then I got this job that they sent me to London for a training for a week, and then I ended up in a relationship with this girl, and also I signed up myself to university with the student loan, and they accept me. And then I go back to Madrid. I make I sell all the stuff that I have, and I make my um, I lost the word. My luggage. I make like two different I prepare two different luggages, send them over with friends, and then I moved to back to London. That was
just like that.
just like
It was
that.
just
It was like
this was
perfect. That was meant to be. Boom. That's it. That was beginning of 2015, and this is the most important moment that connects everything else. I am living with this girl. I start uni, and I needed a part-time job to pay my life because I was on my last year doing my dissertation, and I was so busy, and I needed money to eat and rent. And she went for a registration with We Got Pop, the extra agencies. And I went with her because I was just going with her. And the guy said like next, and I was like, no, I'm just the boyfriend. I'm waiting for her to just do the pictures and come back. And said like, no, just come on, do it, man. It's like, okay. And literally a week later, I had this movie with what was the actress that she was the Vito Corleone wife.
Do you remember the name of the film or the show?
It's okay. Baltazar's a professional. He's got two screens. Unlike us, where we're just
Diane Keaton. So I am literally with Diane Keaton and this other Irish guy that was now in a movie with Will Ferrell and Colin Farrell. And yeah, I was with them, and then like we ended up chatting, and like I took pictures with them, and I just came back home after that experience. I was like, huh, okay. And that just opened a question, like, and then finishing the whole year and then finishing the degree, I started doing more jobs, and then suddenly I met people on set, and then they gave me like more agencies, and then they put me on feature roles, and then I started doing bigger stuff. And I remember I had a part-time job in a tea place, and I was also doing sound engineering live venues for bands. So I was doing the sound engineer for bands, rock bands in North London and other places around. And I was into the idea that I would finish uni and I will make this career as a sound designer for video games, which kind of never happened. But because getting more and more extra feature roles started to build up this question mark about like, what if? And it was the end of 2016, I think, or the beginning of 2017 that I got my first big job, which I was the train station manager or something on the Murder in the Orient Express. And I went to that set, and I was like filming for 3 weeks, and I met like Johnny Depp and the girl from the new Star Wars movie, and everyone was there, like, and it was like, wow. And then finally at the end of 2018, I think, I got my first proper audition for a proper role with like a 3-page script for a Netflix series on documentary about the Constantinople, the fall of Constantinople and the Ottoman Empire.
Oh, the Netflix.
Yeah, the Ottoman Empire. Yeah, the Netflix one. Yeah. So.
Oh, sick! I
think
I just watched season 2 of that. It's really good.
Yeah, I watched a couple of episodes because I was looking for the character that I auditioned for. I was like, oh well, I like the guy that they chose. So I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. But the point is that I really enjoyed the process of dissecting the script, learning the lines, and doing the audition. I knew nothing back then, but that jump started the whole process of like, now I'm not more an extra. I'm gonna get really deep into this.
It's interesting, like listening to your journey up to that point of getting into the acting side of things. It's kind of the same as like say like when Kelvin was speaking last week about that. You know, there was that one moment, that one catalyst that just formed his creative life that was meant to happen. And it's the same as like almost with you, like you know, you started, like you said that you started in the theatre world and you were like acting and doing improvisation, moved on to music, but it's almost like your destiny was always meant to go into this realm, into this kind of creative field, you know, the acting world, and the getting to that point. So it's like your catalyst was that thought, the one thought to say, no, I need to change what I'm doing.
And then that is kind of like an inner voice that you always know the answer, right? It's always there. You like it's kind of like in your head, but it also is in your stomach, and you always know what is the right answer. You always know, but there's always the doubt and like no, because my parent told me to do, and you do this like acceptance for others.
No,
and I think the doubt comes like continuously too. I don't think it's something that like you always have moments where you're like, is this correct? But then like there are those bigger moments where something happens and it's just like 100%. Like it just solidifies it for you even more.
Okay, I got exactly that moment. Let me tell you this story because I remember I sent this voice message over WhatsApp over the first couple of weeks of lockdown when COVID started, and it was such an amazing moment. And a couple of months ago, somehow I was like scrolling through the phone and I found the message and I listened to it again. I was like, oh my God, remember that? So the thing was, we entered COVID and I just paid for my first semester at the Identity School of Acting. And I was so into it, and I was learning all this acting stuff, and I was so like, yeah, this is my year, perfect. And I had like an audition for The Witcher, I had an audition for The Little Mermaid, and all of this shit was happening. I was like, oh my God, and bam, COVID hit, lockdown, everything's gone. I had no jobs whatsoever, not in the film industry. I had a manager of a cinema, was gone. My live audio gigs for bands was gone. So I was doubting. I think a lot of people went through all of this, like, what am I doing with my life? And I think it was kind of like I needed COVID to happen to like just slap me in the face. It's like, do what you want. So I remember I was talking to a friend, and it was this beautiful, beautiful spring. The weather was amazing, and I have a toilet in my house that's outside. Weird enough. And I go to the toilet outside, and then I was sending this audio to a friend, and I come out of the toilet and I look at the stars, and I see the weirdest thing. I see what in the moment I was like paralyzed. I don't know what the fuck I just saw. I thought it was just, I saw like a fucking UFO. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And to try and describe it was a super bright blue light that felt like, you know, when you see a lighthouse in the distance, that is kind of like that
Oh, when it like has that glare that goes straight into your eyes. And
that's that's moving like that, and I was like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know
For all the people listening, we are doing a lighthouse movement
yeah,
across from screen to screen, because I keep forgetting each week that we're doing this on the podcast thing as well. So sorry, carry on, please. You were so in depth into yes, love it.
Sound. Okay, so I didn't know what it was, and I was just telling my friend on the phone. I was like, "Oh my god, you don't know what I just saw, whatever," and then I was thinking like, "Oh, it's a shame because there's no chance I could find ever in my life what was it. So I need to just remember it as a memory, and that's it. But I would never figure it out." And this is what happened. A couple of days later, I'm watching this movie. Lovely drama with the guy from Limitless. That guy.
Right? No, it's not Ryan Reynolds.
He's also on The Hangover.
I know exactly who you
anyway,
mean.
so he is in this movie with this girl in Hawaii, and there's like it's a drama romance. But the thing is, he works for a military company that works with satellite. And at the end of the movie, which also like the movie is a very good drama, and it is like the interaction between them, the impossible love and all, like, and I was crying and I was like, oh my god, look at this fucking performance, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I was connecting so much with the script and like, this is what I want to do, why COVID and this and blah blah blah. And then at the end of the movie, this fucking thing appears, and turns out that they explain that what I saw was called an iridium flare, which is you are standing on the planet at the right angle, at the right time, where a satellite's wing, which is the solar panels, has a perfect angle.
Oh, yeah.
So the sun bounces from there at that particular angle of the planet that you are standing and watching at for a couple of seconds.
That makes so much more sense for like a load of different UFO sightings.
But surely that's dangerous, yeah? Like instant blindness right there, right?
Well, no, not in your eyes. I mean, like, you see it. You can YouTube it. If you YouTube iridium flare, you can find it.
So what are you saying?
By the way,
are you saying that
it's Bradley Cooper, right?
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. I was going to say Bradley Cooper.
So when I saw that, that's the thing. Like, that was my answer, you know, like, it was kind of like, I felt like the universe was telling me, like, that's it, just go and fucking give it all to your drama career and become an actor.
And you can look at it in so many different ways. Like, to me, my belief system is I'm very much similar to that. Is I kind of believe that the universe does give us signs in a certain sense, but you can do it in anything. Like, you know, whether you saw that and whatever feeling you got, what you get from that made you think in a certain way or do a certain thing.
Yeah.
So whether you believe it's the universe giving you signs, or whether it's just that's just all of a sudden just made you think of a new thought process, whether you don't believe in anything or whether you believe in, like, it's still creating, you know, you're still creating that, you know, that next, no, something is happening that's creating something within you to get to your next evolutionary phase of your, you know, of your life and who you are. So that sign, my thought process is gone, but
sorry, man, I'm still trying to think about the iridium flare thing. That's really interesting, because I feel like I've seen
it's really cool.
Something kind of, because I'm looking at the photos right now, and it's like some of them are blue, like you said. Yours was kind of blue, right? Yeah, and some of them are like a streak almost, like it looks like a kind of like a flash. And Dan, it's like you were saying how a lot of people have seen UFOs. Well, maybe they have, but if it's a streak as well, I can see how people think, oh, it's just like flash through the sky really quickly.
Yeah.
But
okay, but we will be talking. Okay, this is
not
UFOs
on the next episode.
This is not a UFO episode. Maybe one day we will touch on UFOs, because I could speak about UFOs for hours. But moving on to Baz, well, I know you do Aikido. I'm sure the people out there don't know that you do Aikido. I'd love you to speak a little bit about that and how you kind of you got onto that journey. Where did that come into play? Was that prior coming to the UK? Did you
Yes.
pick that up in the UK? How does that fit in with this new journey into the acting world that you?
So when I was
In fact,
really,
sorry, what is it? In fact, just for the audience as well, what is Aikido? Explain a little bit about that and what that is. And
so when I
yeah.
was a kid, I remember I was watching these movies, action movies, with my dad, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and there was also Steven Seagal, and there's a lot of these action heroes, like also we all know like Arnold Schwarzenegger, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't have, I think Jean-Claude Van Damme really hit hard because I was obsessed with his movies, and I did taekwondo for I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months. I don't remember, when I was a teenager, like 13, 14 years old, and I loved the kicks, but I didn't like the confrontation because it was a competitive sport in a way. And this kind of martial art was like, oh well, I don't know, like maybe when I was a kid, maybe now it's different, but like I didn't like this. I remember I had a confrontation with a guy, and he punched me in the face a couple of times from the tournament, and I was like, nope, I'm out. And that was like a quick in and out of my first approach to martial arts. And I wasn't really into sports. That's the thing that I have as an Argentinian, that I'm not like a particular standard average Argentinian. I don't like football, and I never liked.
Is that I'm not familiar with myself. Is that a massive thing? Because I don't follow sports either, and I don't know
Yes,
anything
so
about the
Argentina
culture.
basically is all about meat and football. That's the
Okay, cool.
of the entire country. That you just describe the culture like that.
Sometimes at the same time.
So I never had
Sorry.
a big bond with sports when I was younger. But then when I turned around 21, 22, something happened and I started to explore new things. And Aikido was in the back of my mind because of Steven Seagal. And I thought like someday I will give it a try. And I had a friend in high school that did it, and he told me like should try. I never went to his class to watch or to try it. And then I remember one time I had a client that I repair computers for, and on my way back my mom picked me up, and we stopped on a place to buy some food, and next to that place was this gym, and she said, oh, they have Aikido like you wanted to do, let's ask. And literally the next day I was there starting my Aikido journey. And I did Aikido for 2 years until I moved to Europe. And Aikido basically is a Japanese martial art where you use your opponent's energy, and is much more peaceful because there's no hits of some mostly. I mean, like it's not entirely, but you just use the momentum to de-abilitate your opponent and like throw him or like pin him in the floor. And it's all about how you use your energy to merge with the other person.
The way I see it is like Kung Fu Panda 2, when Poe's like trying to do the water thing. You know the movements he does with that?
Okay.
Like the way, because sorry, that was really random, but like when we did the SPAC UK thing and we did the meetup with the community group, and you and me, but we did a lot of different stuff together. Like you were showing me all the different moves, and that was like all I could think about, because it was like you'd go for a strike, and every movement that you did to sort of counteract it wasn't like a subtle sort of movement. It was all like flowing, and then it was like putting your opponent in a what's the word, like an incapacitated position where like they were like at pressure points, or like, and it was like you said, it wasn't like straight movements.
One of the major things about it is
You said Did you say that was at our Did you say that was at our
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last
yeah,
meetup? The Oh, cool. So I mean, just for all the listeners out there, just so they know. So CandlerCreative Chats is a part of CandlerCreative community, and we occasionally hold networking events, meetups as a community. And this was where kind of a few of us actually met and became closer and closer and stuff. And what Chris was just explaining was this was at one of our last meetups that we did with a SPACT agency, which is what we explained last week, the Special Action Agency. And we were learning all loads of different skills. And Baltazar was showing Chris and showing loads of us some Aikido moves. Because I mean, how long have you been doing it now, Baz? How long
So
now?
I took a big break because I moved to Spain and then I was partying and then I moved to London. The first time I couldn't make it work, and then I came back to Spain and I was studying and working, and then I came back, and I should have started it back then when I came back to London the second time in 2015. But I don't know. I think I had a big patch of time where I was too much into party and drugs and all of stuff that I was like, I kind of regret, because that took me to where I am today. So now I evolved to something else, and I'm too healthy now.
Yeah.
But
how does because I want to get through I just want to get through two more things
so
and then we can
the short
round it
answer
up.
would be 3 years plus.
Oh yeah, cool. Oh yeah, of
It's
course.
been almost a year now that I've been back to Aikido. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And so you've been doing it for that long now, and I know how much love and passion you have for Aikido. How is Aikido helping you within your creative world? Is it now something for you to take a time out to unleash, because you're in the acting world now, and I want to get onto your mocap stuff and how that kind of fits in with everything. But how does that how does it work for you in your creative world now? Aikido, where does that fit in
Well,
for you?
it's funny that when I started the whole acting training, the first kind of career that I thought that I found was my accent, and I thought, oh, so I need to work on my accent to be able to open and unlock some doors. And then I thought, okay, maybe I just work on something more physical instead of the accent, because that's going to take me forever. And then I can put my Aikido on it. And also, as I mentioned before, my passion for video games. I was doing a lot of voiceovers for video games when I was doing sound design. I was working on this for 5 years, doing these global jam sessions where you get together with a lot of programmers, artists, and people from all kinds to build a video game in 2 days. And I was doing the music, the voiceovers, and all that. And I was like, I love this shit. So I don't want to program. I want to be performing for the video games. So that kind of was put on hold until that I found that, wait, I can do more physical stuff. And then I discovered mocap when I watched a video about the making of the Last of Us video game, and I saw it. I saw the performance capture of the cinematics for the game, and I was like, that's it. This is what I want to do.
And I can imagine your gaming brain and your technological brain yeah, man, fully. Yeah.
So since then, that was several years ago, but since then, since the first lockdown, like I said, with the whole iridium flare, it just sparked the whole thing that every single penny that I get, every time that I'm free, I'm doing a acting course, or like a firearms course, or like a mocap course, or like voiceovers mentorship, or dialect coach, or like reading an acting book. So I've committed myself fully to all of these things to build my career. But also I fell in love with the idea of becoming a drama/action actor. So not just for video games, but for film and TV and everything else. But I was like, okay, no, I can join all my passions into one career for my action actor, whatever. So Aikido comes very, very, very handy for film, but also for the mock-up stuff.
I'm guessing mental health wise as well.
Oh, is the best. Is the best. I was thinking actually yesterday. I usually used to get this problem that I get too stressed about whatever, and during every winter I get sick with my throat, getting like throat infections and sore throats. And this winter I haven't had any. I'm thinking doing all of these physical activities and doing what I like, which is part of it is Aikido, training 4 times. Last week was 5 times. I don't know. I just don't get sick.
How you said
Superman over.
You said how the Aikido helps you with the mocap stuff. How specifically do you find that it helps in that?
When we were talking about like SPACT for stuff, for example, the SPACT is usually
For
side extra that is more physical, right? Like you're doing a physical, action. So mocap is the short version of motion capture. And motion capture, like the verbs say, is motioning the capture, capturing the motion. So I said it backwards. Motion, capturing the motion, motioning the capture. I love that. So what you do is you put this suit on, and then you have a room that's full of cameras that are like in line to capture that suit that has all these bolts on all these articulations, and then you use that motion to put into characters that goes into video games. Not just video games, all of these animations that you watch nowadays, like it could be a Marvel movie, it could be animated series,
Avatar as well.
Avatar is all.
There's that's a really good topic to touch on another episode, because lately there's been a lot of AI stuff that's been coming for videos and stuff. So basically, motion capture people will be irrelevant. You will literally be able to probably film yourself.
Well, not just motion capture, man. They're everywhere, like voice.
But I think that's definitely a good topic for that. I'm even going to write that down. That's actually really cool. That's really interesting. We're getting close to the end, so I just want to say thanks, Baz, for your story and for bringing us into your world and letting everyone see who you are. Chris, do you have anything to kind of end on? Do you have anything else that you'd like to ask Baz or anything? Or
sorry, guys, my computer gave me a little warning sign, so I had to just quickly hit get to action stations. No, I find it awesome because for me, more on the newer end of coming into the sort of London action scene, and trying to get more into and developing the skills for extra work, but also more lead role stuff. It's interesting hearing about like meeting someone like you, because you've done the firearms training, you've done the motion capture training as well, you've done all these you stuck with a sport. And like for me this time, actually coming back out, I've brought back my you were actually one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, because I did like 1-2 classes of fencing before, and then my own practice of it, and it was just something I loved, and it was so enjoyable. And I thought, you know what, and like I'm gonna bring out my equipment, I'm gonna try to bring it back from Kenya and actually try to get more into those sort of things, because
we can do another full episode on swords.
That's the thing, because like those sort of talents and those things.
That saves me a hosting episode.
Yeah. But it's like whatever you can do to just fill your cup. I don't know if that's the word to say, but whatever you can do to just put on your list of, I can do this. Yeah. This is what makes me just a bit more interesting. But also it's like for the fun of it, like Aikido, I'm sure for you, when you're in doing it, and your sensei is like taking you through stuff, it's just such a good mental break too, because all you're thinking about is that.
I was talking to a friend today. I spent the day with my friend Robin Dobler. Shout out Robin Dobler. We went to go see Ant-Man Quantumania. Anyway, that's not topic, but that's just anyway. But we were talking about this earlier and talking about how the main thing that I think we need to stick to is our core and our core values. And I think it's important for us to explore and do all of these different things, but sticking to your core value, but doing all these different things until you get to that space of like, where when you just feel it and you just know. So I think what a lesson that can be learned from Baz, your story, and Kelvin's story, and Chris, all of our creative stories is just going with what you feel is right in that very moment, following your gut and following your heart where you feel it needs to go. So if that instance, where you feel like you need to go back to Spain and do your technical side of stuff, that led you on a journey to get to this point now of where you're in your true, kind of creative freedom within yourself. So I think a lesson we need to all kind of just constantly remind ourselves is what we're doing is the right thing. It may not feel like it at the time, right in this very moment, not doing what we want to do, but it's getting you to where you need to be.
And it's enjoying the process too,
And exactly.
Enjoying the steps to get you there. And the people you meet as well, 100%.
Yeah, no, fully.
Yeah,
awesome, guys.
I don't think there's no... the last little catchy phrase I'm going to say, I don't believe in luck. I believe there's half destiny, half initiative. So you get yourself out there and do the stuff, and life will find you.
Half destiny, half initiative. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Chris, you just had to ruin it, didn't you? We could have just left on that lovely last sentence.
Sorry. All right, I'm done.
We could have. No, but that's awesome, guys. Let's finish it. I think that's an awesome space to finish. We started philosophically, and we're going to end philosophically, and that's how we like it here on CandlerCreative Chats. So next week we are going to be doing our last into our last Podcast Flame episodes, and we will be interviewing me, Dan Candler. I don't know who's going to be interviewing me, so it will be a surprise next week. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out this week and figure out who's going to be actually doing it. It may be interviewing myself, and I'll just have these guys just.
We can all prepare different questions, and
everyone can each. Yeah, but that'll be next week. So that'll be same time, Sunday, 8 p.m. live on YouTube, possibly Twitch. I don't think we were on Twitch today, but possibly Twitch next week. Make sure to subscribe, everyone. If you're watching us on live on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channels. If you're listening to us on the podcast streaming platforms, give us a follow, give us a review, give us some feedback. Any feedback is good feedback. Tune in next week where we will be speaking to myself. But cool, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope everyone has an awesome rest of your evening and day or whatever time it is. Cool, guys. And thank you guys for joining me today. And Baz, it was awesome speaking to you about your life, your creative life. Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys. Cool. Peace out.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, we got a question here we need to answer from Liam. Liam says,
cool.
He says, do we find where we fit in, or do we build ourselves and our value in the world until we are sought after? That's a deep question, Liam.
Yeah, that's very difficult.
You know what? And this just goes off what I wanted to because this first initial podcast was supposed to be about what the podcast is going to be about and what we believe it can be. And this is exactly what I saw. I saw us having these not just creative chats about the creative world, but creative chats means philosophical chats. It's all these chats about the world and the reality we live around us, and that fits in with our own creativity and the creative things around us. So I think questions like this is just so sick. Because I rambled on, I completely forgot the question. What was it? And
Do we find where we fit in?